Good evening, students. This is my third class of the day. And if you notice, that has been the trend. I started with a class in the morning. So I said good morning, then I said good afternoon, and now I'm saying good evening. All the three are done for the day. So, good evening, everyone. Let me just hear myself. And on that note, I will begin the class of the day. And if you notice, that has been the trend. Yes, I have been. I am able to hear myself now. Wonderful. So, on that note, let me begin the class. So, basically, I'm going to do the newspaper of the day. Slightly late in the day, but no problem because the newspaper obviously has a lot of broad things to do on an everyday basis. Right. So this is the name of our channel, Crack All Management Exams. Welcome everybody to Unacademy's YouTube page. My name is Aritro Dasgupta, and I'm going to bring you all the courses relevant to MBA, including CAT, which of course is the flagship examination, but not the only examination. There are several other exams, which is where I come into the picture because I'm going to take your general awareness, which is a very important course in IFT, ZAT, TISNET, MAT, CMAT, etc. So also now January, all of you will be receiving your results. So that's when your general awareness becomes doubly important because you will all be judged on the basis of how well you answer during the interviews, group discussions, VAT, etc. In fact, earlier today I conducted a session on VAT and I conducted a similar session a couple of days back as well on VAT. So let us continue on that note. So um, first of all, this is our channel. We are India's largest online learning platform. This is myself. My name is Aritro Dasgupta, and I've been with Unacademy for a couple of months now, almost 6 months. And I feel I'm almost like a veteran here because I see Unacademy is a very, the organization has been there for a while now, but a lot of the employees are very young and new because obviously we are growing very fast, online learning, very much the learning of the present and also for the future. I'm not saying that it's the only learning. All I'm saying it's definitely something which is growing. So I'm an MBA in forest management from the Indian Institute of Forest Management, which is in Bhopal, the capital of Madhya Pradesh. The specialization I opted for was conservation and livelihoods. It's been more than a decade's work experience for me in the areas of teaching, training, strategy consulting, executive recruitment, and in content writing. Most of my experience has been in India, but I've also had stints in the Middle East and worked, has been published in the US, traveled there a few times otherwise. And also, the last 5.5 years have been especially involved with the coaching industry, and several rank holders to several national level examinations have been my students during this period. I can clearly, distinctly see my Unacademy logo. That makes me feel really good. So this is what you will receive from our platform. There are live tests and quizzes. Obviously, that covers the whole syllabus. It covers the real examination. So after the examination, you receive an analysis of how your exam went. The course content is very well structured from the head office itself in Bengaluru. We individual educators, of course, add further value to it. You receive unlimited access. The moment you are on board, you receive complete access to our classes. And of course, there are daily live classes. So even if you miss something, you can always see the recording. So this is our channel. You can see it here. The क्रैक मैनेजमेंट एग्जाम्स इसको क्लिक करेंगे तो आपको पूरा इंसाइट मिल जाएगा. Right. This is a list of some of our key educators. You may take a look at their names. Also, you may take a look at their watch minutes, number of followers, their experience, work experience, etc. So I think all that is pretty much relevant. Right. Let's move ahead. Okay, these are the live classes. Meanwhile, this is how you receive notification from the different subject educators regarding the classes. Also, this is how you receive notification for the batches, for the syllabus completion. So there can be two kinds of batches formed. One is for a particular subject with a particular set of students, as you can see at the bottom, with one teacher. The other option is with the entire, for the entire syllabus and all the teachers in it combined, that you can see on top, of course. Okay, there's also schedule that works very well for you. You may learn anytime, anywhere, and there is no language barrier either. I mean, I told you about how you can take classes later on. I showed you the archives on YouTube, and of course, we are present in 16 different languages, so you may access any of those classes. You may interact with your educator anytime to get your doubts cleared, and of course there are live polls, और ये interaction कैसे होगा मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ. राइट हैंड साइड में आप सभी को दिखेगा देयर इज अ लाइव चैट विंडो. तो इस पे आप लोग क्लिक कीजिए. तो यहाँ पे आप अपने सवाल पूछ सकते हैं. कोई भी डाउट हो, आई विल बी हैप्पी टू आंसर. ऑल्सो आई विल बी क्विजिंग यू गाइज एज वेल on this space, so do watch out for this as well. You're right. There are live tests and quizzes, I told you, and you once the tests are done, you receive a detailed report and analysis of the same. And of course, there are detailed PDFs as well, which you can download at the end of the session. Today, I've taken two classes already. One was a bonus class for October current affairs. The other was on this thing, क्या कहते हैं इसको? VAT, things to keep in mind while doing a VAT. तो उन दोनों क्लासेस में आपने नोटिस किया होगा कि मैंने काफ़ी चीज़ें उसमें इंक्लूड करी थी. तो वो क्लासेस में पीडीएफ है, तो वो पीडीएफ आप डाउनलोड कर लीजिए. आप देख सकते हैं बाद में. ये जो पीडीएफ्स है इनको न्यूज़पेपर के सेशन में पीडीएफ देखना थोड़ा मुश्किल है, बिकॉज द न्यूज़पेपर इटसेल्फ इज योर पीडीएफ, राइट? So this is the thing. This is the code at the bottom of the page. You may see AD09. You may use this code to get a 10% discount, and these are the various months for which classes are mentioned. ठीक है. तो मैं तो रेकमेंड करूंगा 12 महीने कोर्स के लिए जाए या 24 महीने, क्योंकि वैल्यू फॉर मनी सबसे बेस्ट आपको उसी में मिलेगा. आप शॉर्ट टर्म कोर्स के लिए भी जा सकते हैं, बट यू विल नोटिस दैट द वैल्यू फॉर मनी इज नॉट अ ग्रेट proposition in the shorter term courses. Right? The rest is up to you. Please read this slide in complete detail. Both sides are talking of the same thing, basically. Right. So on that note, let me begin with the meat of today's class, which, as you know, is about today's newspaper, which is the 17th of December. I'm gonna do as usual the Hindu newspaper, your favorite for all entrance examinations. Just a minute, I'm getting a. Yeah, sorry, I got a knock. I think these things are common when you work from home. They have to be accepted, tolerated. Anyway, let's continue with this. The first thing which I want to talk about is, you are all aware that for the last several weeks, we have seen these farmer agitation, the protests in in and around Delhi, especially in the north of Delhi, mainly from Punjab, also some from Haryana and other states. So the Supreme Court has now mooted. They have suggested there should be a panel for farmer government talks. The farmers say this is a moral victory because initially the central government was not budging from its stance that these farm laws are beneficial for the farmers. Mm, the farmers themselves were also adamant that they wanted complete repealing of these acts. But now there does seem to be some, sort of rapprochement between the two sides. So that is good. Justice Sharad Arvind Bobde, who's actually the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India, which makes him the highest ranked judge in the country, he is the one who has led this bench, which has proposed a new panel, and several leaders have been asked to, of the Bharatiya Kisan Union, they have been asked to attend these meetings. This includes the likes of Mr. Rakesh Tikayat, who's from the Bharatiya Kisan Union, also the heads from the Sidhupur, Rajewal, Lakhowal, the Konda, Doaba, um, and also the somebody from the Kul Hind Kisan Federation, and also the Solicitor General. A lot of these people, uh, sorry, not the Solicitor General. A lot of these people, they are now expected to be called for these talks as well. The Solicitor General, Mr. Tushar Mehta, is will be representing the government in these talks. Right. Meanwhile, there's another positive news. The Covaxin trials are currently ongoing. Covaxin has been developed by the Bharat Biotech, which is a completely indigenous company in India. Unlike the others, such as AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, which are all foreign in origin. Uh, so Covaxin is one of the पोटेंशियल वैक्सीन्स जिसका ट्रायल अभी चल रहा है इंडिया में एंड इनिशियल ट्रायल्स हैव गिवन अप अ पॉजिटिव response. So there has been a robust immune response that has been triggered among several who took up the first few doses. Right, let's move ahead. Uh, Now, there is some very important news from the Ministry of Education led by Shri Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank. So, he and his team have confirmed that in 2021, the JEE mains, I think you know what is JEE. JEE stands for Joint Entrance Examination, one of the world's largest examination, which is on average attended by between 8 to 16 lakh people a year. It is the premier examination for all engineering colleges in the country, for all the IITs and non-IIT engineering colleges as well. The first round is the JEE mains, those who get shortlisted, which again runs up to several lakhs. They appear for the next round, which is the JEE advanced. So in 2000, so until a few years back, there was only one round. I think 2 years back, they introduced two JEEs in a year. But in 2021, in order to ensure greater distancing norms being maintained, there will be four attempts at JEE next year, including the first one, which will be probably sometime in January, though it's not yet confirmed. Most likely it will not be, although there were initial reports of January. Whether the same student can take all four attempts is not known, because when they increased from one to two, the idea was the same student could go for two, so that he or she could actually go for a best of the two, the best result. But that may not be the case anymore, because one of the ideas of having four is to have more gaps and have distancing between the students appearing. So maybe the same student will not be allowed four times. We will need to study in greater detail, all these details. Right. Let's move ahead then. There is also another very important news regarding a union cabinet meeting was held a couple of days back, and on Wednesday they have actually cleared something very important, and that is the spectrum auction. Spectrum auction is for 4G spectrum. 4G is already on, So there was a lot of speculation that we might be looking at 5G, but 5G has not yet going to be rolled out completely, because 5G even internationally has only been rolled out in some limited areas. But right now, this will be in the frequency bands of between 700 megawatts to 2500 megawatts megahertz. Sorry, these would be offered for 20 years. The communications minister, Shri Ravi Shankar Prasad, the Union Cabinet Minister, he confirmed the same on Wednesday. Right, 700 will be the lowest, up to 2500, including several other bands in between. So this will lead to a lot of the bids. Private companies and government state players as well, they can all bid for the projects to install these 4G towers. Right, a lot of 4G towers are already there, so it's not completely new, but a lot of new ones need to be developed, so that there is more and more of these. Right. Fair enough. Lieutenant General Anil Chauhan, who's actually the head of the Eastern Command of the Indian Army, he is the General Office Commander of the Eastern Command. He has confirmed that he has rubbished a lot of the rumors that there is also Chinese aggression and possibility of a face-off on the Eastern corridor of India. We are all aware of something which happened in Ladakh, of course, in the last couple of months, and there is still Chinese presence, military presence around Ladakh. There was a lot of speculation. Speculation was rife that the Chinese military is also camped around Arunachal Pradesh. However, that has been denied by obviously somebody who's most in the highest position here. There is also he's actually responsible for the defending the LAC, or the line of actual control. This is from Sikkim to Arunachal Pradesh, so that would include parts of Bhutan, also parts of Assam and other Indian states which face up to China, but mainly Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. And Bhutan, of course, these have the largest territory. Bhutan, is an Indian dependency, so Sikkim, Bhutan, and Arunachal, all three of them on that corridor. Yesterday also marked the seventh phase of the local council elections in Jammu and Kashmir, and there was a 57% turnout in the district development council elections. I will discuss more on these elections when we go to the local pages. But for now, the next major thing is regarding, shall we say, okay, now when it comes to vaccinations, now we are all talking of vaccines which will come up very shortly, most likely. And of course, we've already spoken of Covaxin today itself. Now, whenever and whichever company is given the final approval for these vaccines, in fact, it's likely there'll be several vaccine players, because if they are more or less equally effective, then we could, and this will also help in better distribution. So different zones of India could be distributed by these different ones. um, so now we have something called so a lot of these vaccines, they will initially be for those most vulnerable, which is older people and frontline health workers and sanitation workers as well. They will be the first to be given the same. So in Delhi, a list is already being prepared for the same. By the way, Delhi is actually in the safe zone. We've been thinking of Delhi being one of the most badly affected, but as per WHO criteria, Delhi is actually in pretty much safe zone. Within Delhi, the government has is preparing a list of the people who should be given with the first shots. So the power department workers and also the workers from the DJB, or the Delhi Jal Board, they have been placed in the first phase of the vaccine list. Clearly shows the importance that the water department plays, and electricity as well during this period. So because obviously with more people staying at home, electricity consumption is pretty high. One could argue that offices are somewhat shut, not completely, but somewhat. That is something many could argue, but water definitely, because we are washing a lot. There's a lot of requirement for, shall we say, cleanliness and sanitation right now. So definitely, this is something which has to be kept in mind. So Delhi Jal Board will also be part of this. And finally, from the first page, before I close off the first page, new Salon Seva has also been started up at the Singhu border. Singhu is one of the key borders that Delhi has with the state of Haryana, Sonipat district. तो वहाँ पे जो सिंघू border है, उसमें there are that's one of the major borders where thousands, maybe tens of thousands of farmers are camped in right now. So of course, because these farmers are there for the long run, I mean that's the plan that some have. That's a backup plan that some have, and many of them are there. So that is why the idea is to give them a lot of facilities. A lot of the facilities are being sourced themselves because. So, for example, food, many of them are preparing themselves, and likely now there are salon services as well which are being provided. One of those persons who's doing the same, his name is so that he runs a parlor called a Crazy Beauty Salon, which is in the Kurukshetra district of northern Haryana, and yeah, his name is Sunny Vartia. He's only 26 years old, but he has come down all the way from Kurukshetra to Sonipat's Singhu border to provide these free salon services to those. Right. So that is the thing. Beard trimming and is also taking place right now. Anyway, moving ahead to the next phase. Today also marks exactly 2 years since the establishment of the Chhattisgarh government. 2018. Some of you might remember three big Hindi belt states had their elections and Congress came to power in all of them. Since then, they have lost MP, but Rajasthan and overwhelmingly in Chhattisgarh, the Congress, of course, still remains in power. So, Shri Bhupesh Baghel, there is his advertisement. So, I usually don't talk to you about advertisements, but there are some useful insights also presented here regarding farmers loans being waived off, about MSP procurement of paddy crop under MSP, also the Rajiv Gandhi Kisan Nyay Yojana, the Godhan Nyay Yojana, which is about cow dung procurement. Cow dung can be used as a very important source of fuel. Also, there is the Chhattisgarh Krishi Upaj Mandi Act, which was amended in the Legislative Assembly. And of course, daily jobs, which averages 25 lakh laborers under Manrega. These are the claims of the government. So, kudos if it's actually I'm sure it is taking place. So, kudos there. By the way, there's a report from the IMD on the Indian Meteorological Department, which states that Delhiites, people from Delhi and surrounding areas, it's very cold right now. Really, really cold. So there is this talk that maybe by the end of this week, I guess tomorrow, day after, will be the last days officially of the week. There should be relief from the severe cold, right? Right. Between all these borders, I was telling you, Delhi's borders like Singhu and Kundli, farmers have also set up pit stops where they're actually selling their produce. A lot of farm produce is being sold here as well. Delhi's air quality is seeing a further improvement. In the air quality index, Delhi was at 262 on Wednesday, which is actually worse than 230, which was on Tuesday, but things should get better. In fact, Gurugram is in the moderate category, which is even better. And by Thursday, which is today, Delhi should. So, tomorrow, newspaper, whenever we read, I think I will be telling you guys about the air being moderate. So, it does seem that today things are better. There is the SUFFER index, which is basically the monitoring system for air quality, which is run by the CPCB or the Central Pollution Control Board. AQI stands for Air Quality Index. That's the index which measures the quality or pollution in the air. Right. Continuing on, it seems that amidst this pandemic, several civic bodies in Delhi and other places have not been able to release the doctors' salaries, maybe due to lesser income. That could be one reason. But the High Court of Delhi has directed the civil bodies to release this payment. Right. Let's continue then. There is a new political party in Assam, which I had told you, which was founded on the back of the anti-NRC and anti-CAA protest last year, which is known as the AJP, not AGP. AGP is an ally of the BJP. I'm talking of the AJP, which was called the Assam Jatiya Parishad. And if I'm not wrong, I think Nikhil Gogoi was the founder of this. Anyway, Akhil Gogoi, sorry, Nikhil Gogoi is the son of, I think. Anyway, getting a little confused, but so what a general secretary of the ASU, which is the All Assam Students Union, which is a very influential body in Assam. Its leader, its general secretary, Mr. Lurin Jyoti Gogoi, and also an ex AGP minister. AGP is Assam Gana Parishad, which has long been a very strong political party in Assam. Its minister, Shri Pabindra Deka, both of them have joined the newly floated AJP, Assam Jatiya Parishad. Deka is a former minister and currently an MLA from the Patha Charkuchi constituency. Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi, who heads the political party All India Majlis-e Muslimin (AIMIM), which has long been powerful in Hyderabad. They have also expanded their reach now in Maharashtra's Aurangabad district and in Bihar Simanchal region. AIMIM's next target is the state of Uttar Pradesh. So, his party ended up winning 44 seats in the recent Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation elections. Also won 5 seats in the Simachal region of Bihar. But the next target is UP. So he has reached UP, Mr. Owaisi, to discuss regarding possible alliances. So there'll be a number of parties, around half a dozen parties, which will form a fourth or fifth front in the 2022 Uttar Pradesh election. It's more than a year away, but UP being such a massive state, preparations take place quite a while. BJP, of course, is one group. BJP does have some smaller allies like the Apna Dal. Samajwadi Party is likely to be the leading opposition party. The SP is in an alliance with the Rashtriya Lok Dal. They might include Congress also with them. There could also be an SP BSP alliance, as we saw in the last year's Lok Sabha elections. But at this point, it seems we don't have any word of it. It does seem unlikely. BSP, right now, as of now, as things hold now, is the third faction. The Congress will probably go into some alliance, maybe with the SP. But at this point, again, the Congress is also a player. Apart from that, their alliance is the AIMM alliance will be called the Bhagidari Sankalp Morcha. One of his allies will be Om Prakash Rajbhar, whose party is the SBSP, Suhel Dev Bharatiya Samaj Party. There are a couple of other leaders like Mr. Babu Singh Kushwaha and Mr. Shivpal Yadav, who are also up for discussions. AIMM incidentally was an ally of the BSP in the Bihar elections. They also had some of the other parties there. I think the Rashtriya Lok Samata Party as well, and the SBSP. But let's see what the alliance holds in UP. Right? Okay. So I've now entered the editorial page, one of the most important ones. So let us understand a couple of important things from the editorial page. A couple of articles here. The room is getting darker. I can't turn on this light because it's the laptop is charging. So let me just figure out the best way possible. So there's an article written by Miss Navsharan Singh. She is an independent researcher. She's written about a million reasons to march. She speaks about farmers' protests, the ongoing protests. They are not just of a farmers' protest, but it is something about their entire right. They have a reason to march, and dissent and debate needs to be encouraged. There have been lots of bitter experiences in the past that farmer groups have faced, but that is not the case now. She has argued in this. There's another article on the protocol of deference that is plainly injurious, which talks about the judicial system. There's a comparison with the US and about checks and balances that need to be put into the legal system. The writer is Mr. Harish Khare, who's a senior journalist based in Delhi. Right? I'm going to discuss some of the other articles as well. Let me just figure out a way. Right. So let's just continue on with this. I'll just figure out a way around the lighting system. Just give me a moment, please. Let me see the amount of charge. Right. In another 34 minutes, it will charge completely. Anyway, there is also this article on privacy being a fundamental right. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but right to privacy, has been one of the most hotly debated topics in the Indian judicial system, in the Indian legal system for a couple of years now. In fact, a couple of years back, there was this, I think Justice Narsimhan, I don't really, no, Justice Sri Krishna committee, which met up and which discussed that yes, privacy is there, it is a fundamental right. And to quote the exact words, one of the things that was mentioned इज दैट हम अपने घर पे पर्दे लगाते हैं, दरवाजे हैं हमारे घर पे, दैट डजंट मीन कि आई एम डूइंग समथिंग सीक्रेटिव घर पे, मैं कुछ गलत काम नहीं कर रहा, बट दिस इज माय प्राइवेट स्पेस. व्हेन आई एम टेकिंग ऑनलाइन क्लासेस, ओके, यू आर सीइंग मी, बट अदरवाइज माय हाउस is my personal space. Same goes with privacy. Just because you want privacy doesn't mean you're doing something wrong, and so the state must respect that. That's what the body said. And in fact, I remember discussing with you guys on this forum an article on right to privacy, which came up a couple of weeks back. Exactly, it was December 1st, and on this page itself. And that article has also been referred to in this article. So that's interesting. That was written by the writers, Mr. Shailesh Gandhi and Mr. Prashant Reddy. They discussed about the RTI, right to information, and the fact that about an RTI query that was posted regarding privacy, whether the state has whether my address should be public property. So those two writers, I remember telling you guys, had stated that indeed it is necessary for for your addresses to be made public, so that government welfare schemes can reach, so that we can avoid the cases of wrongfully claiming benefits, which has taken place many times in the past. So to avoid that in the future and the present, we need to ensure that that my address is public news. Secondly, this is not something new. They say that these yellow pages or other such telephone directories, which telephone companies used to disseminate back in the day, all of them did have these kind of spaces, which had addresses of and phone numbers of all the others who had subscribed to that particular telephone network. So what, why should things be any different now? That is a big question that was posed by those writers. These writers, however, they do not completely agree. One of the writers is Mr. Prasanna S, the other is Mansi Verma. They're Delhi based independent lawyers, and they're founding trustees of the Article 21 Trust. Article 21 is where right to privacy is a part of it. Okay, just to give you that background. So this trust, it works on issues of the intersection of digital rights and welfare. In the digital world, privacy becomes even more important. So they do not completely agree with that statement. They say that no, privacy has to be respected. The state needs to respect, all the more in the digital era. We need to make sure of certain things that apply. So, the addresses can be kept private by specifying a PO box number rather than the specific address. So, by that, only the street is mentioned. That is a possibility, of course. But they also say that this is not judicially tested, this particular thing. And they actually do mention some cases, such as Justice K.S. Puttaswamy versus the Union of India, which happened in 2017. They also talk about the High Court ruling, and they're talking of a waiver versus a barrier system. So protection of privacy for individual citizens and transparency of public authorities are two sides of the same coin. So they feel while privacy should take place, so while government officials should get my address, they should not make it public. So my privacy, they should entertain transparency to ensure my address remains private, and so privacy can be maintained in this way. Right. I will just take a brief bio break. तब तक थोड़ा और charge हो जाएगा, and then I will continue with this session of mine. Maybe I can just reduce the brightness a bit. That would also help in this particular context of charging. Give me a moment, please. Right. Because I have enough charging left. I think it will hold for that time duration, time period. Problem होना तो नहीं चाहिए इसमें कुछ. Right, right. Fair enough. So on that note, let me continue to the next article on the editorial page. Right. So, right. Okay. So this topic has been rather popular in the last couple of days. We have been speaking about. I have enough charging left. I think about the Food Security Act. So the NFHS, or the National. So the report which has come out on food, there was also this uh, long road to food security which has been mentioned regarding the fact that the global hunger index, where India has finished 94th among 107 countries, behind the likes of Bangladesh, Nepal, and even Pakistan, and also several African countries. This is a massive paradox, a really sad one. The fact that in spite of being food sufficient in agricultural production, the hunger levels are alarming. About what is the number that was cited? About 194 million people go hungry every day in India. This comprises 23% of the undernourished population in the country. So this actually goes totally against some of the laws in the country, such as the right to food, which was set up in 2013, which is also part of the Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, which is actually the right to life. That is really sad. It's a grim failure after 73 years of independence. Right. So India actually produces more than the amount which is needed to feed the entire population. Our food production was 283.37 million tons in 2018-19. We are the top producer in the world in millet, second in rice and wheat production in the world. Horticultural crops like fruits and vegetables are also surplus, over 313 million tons in 2018-19. Yet we are struggling. So that is because of the distribution system. Although the PDS has done its job pretty much, we also have the MSP system in place, but a lot of the execution does not take place. There is this new Poshan scheme, Poshan Abhiyan, which has come up, and there is a lot of hope that maybe Poshan will lead to some of the major benefits that will take place. So on, look at the here the wastage, that will really alarm you. 62,000 tons of food grains were damaged in Food Corporation of India warehouses between 2011 and 16. This is systemic rot which needs to be done something about. In 2016-17 alone, over 8,600 tons of food grains were lost. It simply went bad. The Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations, this found that there's a proliferation of millions of ineligible and bogus ration cards. So, thus, the really poor families often do not get access to the food or the grains which they are expected, which they have a right to receive. So these are a couple of the things. There is also this thing about the Annapurna Yojana, which is provided to some of the, which is about providing food to some of the most vulnerable, especially the older people beyond the age of 65 who do not have any other incomes. However, it has been noticed that even there, we often see a misuse, and this is especially true in some states. Now, Kerala, for instance, has got very few people below the poverty line, but उसका उल्टा effect ये हो रहा है कि very few are eligible for these schemes, for instance. So very few are actually receiving that. So a couple of these studies have also been mentioned on agrarian distress. This article written by Raj Mohan Unnithan. He's actually a member of parliament. He's a member of the department related standing committee on food, consumer affairs, and public distribution. Uh, Okay. Meanwhile, there is also an article on a related topic, which is the NFHS National Family Health Survey 2019-20, जिसका result आया. And in several states, the wasting, stunting, and anemia levels have actually increased compared to the previous survey in 2015-16. And three of those states are Maharashtra, Gujarat, and West Bengal, which are three of the biggest states economically and politically. Data for 22 states and union territories has arrived. The likes of UP, MP, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, Jharkhand, for instance, has not yet arrived. Rajasthan and Odisha as well. Right now, it is pretty disappointing. A lot of these indicators. In fact, the percentage of anemic and wasted children in those three states has actually gone down even below the 2005-6 survey. Forget 15-16; it's actually worse than 2005-6. So it clearly shows the dire situation in these states and most of the rest of the country. Um, there has also been a decline in the last few years in wasting and stunting. Stunting is when height does not increase proportionate to your age, and wasting is when the body weight remains abnormally low. Um, the access to sanitation and clean cooking foods are the only factors where good works seems to have been done. And of course, there is a lot of emphasis on the Poshan Abhiyan and also UN Sustainable Development Goals. Maybe these can bring things up. Uh, there's another article on excellence in diversity, which is basically about affirmative action. Affirmative action is the positive discrimination which allows for traditionally, historically weaker communities to get reservation so that historical injustices can be eased out. So, what has happened is a recent panel in the IIT suggested that due to the inclusion of the OBC quota, the Mandal quota in higher education in the late 2000s, that has led to the quality of recruitment having gone down. Now, the writer here questions that maybe that may not be the real thing. Instead, we must look at the systemic rot, maybe right from the beginning. So, maybe greater focus needs to be on basic education so that people from historically weaker communities, such as SCs, STs, OBCs, and some minorities, can get the protection they receive. Then we will not have these. So, that panel actually suggested to doing away with the reservations at the IITs because that is leading to the faculty level uh, not being as per the desired level. So this is something this writer has questioned. Finally, to end the editorial, not ending the paper or the day, because I have a few other things to discuss, but just finishing off with the editorial. There are a couple more things. Get some water. So there's this article on the many challenges at the WTO or the World Trade Organization. World Trade Organization recently saw its chairperson resign. Its director general, who's a top guy, who was a Brazilian, Roberto Azevedo, he resigned. He became the first person to resign from the WTO top post before time. This article, written by Mr. Dammu Ravi, who is the additional secretary at the present Ministry of External Affairs, which basically means he's number two or number three in the in the foreign minister. So very senior bureaucrat this person is. So he's spoken about these 25 years since the creation of WTO back in January, and he also says this is the first time that both the leading candidates are women. One of them is from Nigeria, the other is from South Korea. There are 164 members in the World Trade Organization, so whoever wins, it is going to be beneficial for the entire world because obviously women heading these kind of organizations is really prestigious. He's also spoken about the MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises, that whoever is the next head, must especially take care of the MSME development, and also about the Doha Development Agenda, which is something the WTO has not been able to completely inculcate as yet. So, which is WTO's own agenda, but it hasn't been completely met as yet. So, the Doha agenda needs to be taken in fully. There's also talk on the vaccine vaccine process in the coming days, and also the TRIPS agreement. TRIPS is for a legal framework that benefits the whole world. In fact, India and South Africa, which is a fellow G4 member, fellow BRICS member, no, not G4, sorry, fellow BRICS member, we had together spoken out against some of the norms of the this TRIPS method, which sort of benefits the developed nations rather than the developing or the fast developing countries such as India and South Africa. As I said, both are BRICS members. BRICS, of course, is a club of the most powerful developing countries, of the regional powers, so to say. I hope the lighting is good now. Since I turned on this light, I think it is all right now. Right, fair enough. Yesterday, the results came out. I had told you earlier, 16th, the final results will be out for the local elections in the state of Kerala. The state of Kerala jointly did its panchayat and municipal elections. There were three factions. One was the LDF, the other is the UDF, the third is the BJP. The BJP is a relative newcomer in Kerala. Kerala was actually the birthplace of coalition politics in India. But unlike other states, in Kerala, the coalitions have been set in stone for almost 4 decades. One side is the LDF, or the Left Democratic Front, which comprises the left parties, the CPIM and the CPI. It also includes the NCP and the JDS. It also includes okay, these are the four of the bigger parties. The other side is the UDF, or the United Democratic Front, led by the Congress. It also has the IUML, or Indian Union Muslim League. It has the RSP, which is a CPIM ally in West Bengal, but here it's part of the Congress alliance. It also had the KCM, the Kerala Congress Money. Kerala Congress Money, led by Mr. Joseph. Mr. PJ Joseph. This was actually a faction within the Congress, separated from the Congress in 1979, joined the Left Front for just 2 years. Since 1981, for the last 4 decades, they were part of the UDF, but very recently changed its alliance. So now they're part of the Left Front, and in fact, they had a very much a positive trend. They won most of the seats they contested in. So, if I may give you the entire list, the total 941 gram panchayats in the state of Kerala. Out of them, 514 of them were won by the LDF, while the UDF won around 377. Some of the remaining by the BJP. BJP is the third faction, as I told you. Among the municipalities, the UDF did better. The Congress seems to have a better hold on urban areas, winning 45 of the seats, while the LDF won 35. BJP success came in Palakkad, where it won. Um, Palakkad, it retained, it won last time as well, but also won the Pandalam municipality, winning 18 of the 33 wards. It ended up winning 23 gram panchayats in total, which is an 8 run improvement. Last time it was at 15. The LDF also won 10 district panchayats, also 108 of the 152 blocks in total. Right, so that was pretty much it. The alliance, the breakdown of the Kerala municipal polls. So I've been telling you for a while now regarding the samples of the people who have been infected. Some have even died. A mysterious illness in the Eluru district of Andhra Pradesh. So a team from AIMS did visit a few days back, collected samples. Now they have found abnormal quantities of lead in the milk samples. They have also found that some pesticides were used on the tomato and brinjal crops to a greater extent, which makes it harmful for human consumption. So this lead in milk and these pesticides on tomato and brinjal may have been the clinching factor for this disease, uh, which has harmed so many people so far. Sticking with Andhra Pradesh, the government of Andhra Pradesh has informed the High Court of the state that the local polls, which were supposed to take place in February, may not be advisable. It might need to be postponed. Just like Kerala, Andhra Pradesh is also expected to have the same in the month of February. but this is not advisable because that will sort of interfere with the vaccination drive. The expectation is that in this month there will be the main vaccination drive. So the principal secretary of this Panchayati Raj and Rural Development, Shri Gopal Krishnan Dwivedi, obviously being in charge of Panchayati Raj, he heads this thing. So he informed the High Court of the same on behalf of the state government. A communication satellite has been launched today. So it was yesterday's paper. It says today's paper. It said will be launched today from near Chennai at the Satish Dhawan Space Research Center. So it's called the CMS-01, which is on board the PSLV C-50. PSLV stands for Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, which is basically a launch vehicle for launching of rockets. Another panel has been mooted in the parliament for discussing the Vista project, which is to be done by the Central Public Works Committee. The RBI has confirmed to a bench of the Supreme Court, which was led by Justice Ashok Bhushan, confirming that banks have not shown any apathy. That there has been a plea that the banks have not been sensitive to the people and people's cause, and also to several states' requirements during this ongoing pandemic. But the RBI has clarified that is not the case. There's very important political news from the state of West Bengal, which will go to polls in the month of April or May. One of the top leaders of the ruling Trinamool Congress party, Mr. Subhendu Adhikari, who was considered almost number two to the Chief Minister, Ms. Mamta Banerjee, he had already resigned as minister, but now he's also resigned as an MLA, and he has resigned from the TMC party as well. In fact, the BJP, he's expected to join the BJP. There was also speculation he might join the Congress or might float his own political outfit, but those two possibilities look thinner now. It does seem likely that he is going to join the BJP, which has emerged to be the principal contender to claiming the TMC's throne in West Bengal. The Congress in the state of Bihar, where it is in opposition with in alliance with the RJD and the left parties, they have written a letter to the Chief Minister Shri Nitish Kumar to consider removing the prohibition on liquor, on alcohol, basically. The government of India has, especially the telecom department, has come up with this decision not to allow Chinese telecom equipment. This will, in the short run, impact the telecom industry massively because obviously the telecom industry is one of the most dependent on Chinese gear. But there is also fear of spying from using Chinese gear. So that is why the National Security Directive on Telecoms has put out a list of trusted telecom gear firms, which is planned. They will prepare such a list very soon. The British Foreign Secretary has confirmed that while there have been several farmer protest movements in support of the Indian farmer movement in the UK, he says that they are completely legible. In fact, this is something which is important for the UK as well. Right, let's move ahead then. Okay, the Ministry of Health, meanwhile, has confirmed that the daily COVID fatalities are on a constant decline. There's, however, some disturbing news from another index, the Human Development Index, the HDI, which is created by the UNDP, United Nations Development Program. So, under that, India has had a two-rank decline from 129 last year to 131 this year. We might actually go up by 8 ranks, but I'll talk more on that in a while. The HDI was actually created by Mahmoud ul Haq, who's a very famous Pakistani economist who actually worked with um, great Indian Nobel Prize winner, Professor Amartya Sen, for a long time in economics. So HDI is something that India takes very seriously. In fact, the aspirations program, kya naam tha? Aspirational districts program was launched primarily to improve India's HDI ranking. India gives greater credence to HDI than HCI because India feels that this is something which takes care more of the social factors, something which is more sort of reliable for India. However, now there is something. Norway is rank one, but the UNDP, which is not yet confirmed, but it has come up with a discussion that um, there could be a change in the methodology, which will actually include a new metric by which the the climate emissions will also be taken into account. If that happens, Norway will come down from first to 16th. The Gulf oil rich countries will also come down, and several countries will come down. India will go up 8 points to 123rd. China's meanwhile are way above than it should have been, so it will come down massively. Australia will fall by a disaster 72 places. US and Canada will also come down by 45 and 40 ranks respectively. It's known as the Planetary Pressures Adjusted HDI or PHDI. This is something which hasn't yet been confirmed, but it will be done shortly, most likely. Who is going to be rank one there has not been informed as yet, but that's something which needs to be taken. The UNDP's India representative is Mr. Shoko Nada, who is Japanese national, so he has confirmed a lot of these points. A study has been conducted which suggests that a lot of the people, including those from the medical fraternity, have something called vaccine hesitancy. They're not really sure how much useful or how much they need the COVID 19 vaccines, even when the vaccine does eventually come up. So, a new plea has been submitted in the Supreme Court for uniform divorce and alimony rules, that it should be more gender neutral. The cabinet, meanwhile, the union cabinet has approved a new power grid project for the northeast of India. This will be worth 6,700 crores worth of investment, and it will be known as the Northeastern Region Power System Improvement Project. So there's already one, but it will be an improvement. This was briefed by Mr. Prakash Javadekar, who is the Information and Broadcasting Minister. This project would add 2,100 kilometers of transmission lines and 2,000 kilometers of distribution lines. The Air Defense Command and the Maritime Theatre Command are also being finalized as part of the Indian military, and also two new commands will be posted. I told you about the turnout in the seventh phase of the Jammu and Kashmir local polls. So, in the Jammu division, there was the highest turnout at 74.38%. Um, right? Fair enough. There are a couple of feature articles here as well regarding fitness. So, for example, there's a surf turf club in Chennai where a lot of people are staying fit using varying surfing methods. For example, okay, now I'm going to move to. There's also a feature article on some online platforms where poems and short stories are published. That's interesting. Meanwhile, moving on to the international pages, I don't know if you guys remember this character, Alexei Navalny. He is an opposition leader in Russia who had been There was an accusation of him being poisoned by Vladimir Putin, the man in power in Russia. He had actually fled to Germany, Berlin. He was recuperating. His wife had, and some countries like Germany and the UK and the US, they had all accused, France as well, they had accused Russia, Putin specifically, of violating democracy and trying to poison his opponent. Russia, however, has denied its role. The Federal Security Service, apparently, according to the Russian government, is not involved in this. The US has recently slapped a couple of sanctions on Turkey. So, Turkey's president, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, he says that these US sanctions are an attack on Turkey's sovereignty. Republican Party, whose presidential candidate Mr. Donald Trump recently lost the presidential election in the US, the Republican Party has now finally conceded defeat. They have acknowledged Biden's victory. Um, Mr. Mike Pompeo has agreed to, who's the Secretary of State, has agreed to meet Mr. Antony Blinken, who is the new Secretary of State, regarding this. Yesterday was a very important day in the history of India, but even more so probably in the history of Bangladesh. It was the day of Vijay Divas when Pakistani forces surrendered in the 1971 war. So yesterday was the 49th anniversary, 1 year short of the half century, of the creation of Bangladesh, a Bengali speaking linguistic country formed from what was earlier East Pakistan. So Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, she visited India, and one of the things she said is that communal anarchy will not be tolerated in Bangladesh. If you go through the constitution of Bangladesh, it is officially a secular country. So she has pretty much spoken about the great relations Bangladesh shares with India, and this has been reiterated by the Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, and his team as well. Bangladesh, she has said, is the land of Lalan Shah, Lalon Shah, Rabindranath Tagore, Qazi Nazrul Islam, Jibanando Das. So that is the land of a lot of literary giants, and several political giants as well. Um, so it's a country of 165 million Bengali speaking people as well. A Taliban team has visited Pakistan for talks of ceasefire. Now that the Taliban might be on the verge of getting something of an official lease in Afghanistan, sort of a peace deal. They're hoping for something similar in Pakistan as well. The government of Saudi Arabia is facing massive fiscal deficit. So to bring that on, a lot of spending cuts are being planned by the government. Pakistan has approved of a bill which about chemical castration of sex offenders. So this is something which can be debated a lot. Not sure how good such a thing could be, but again, this might be a deterrent to people. Anyway, the State Bank of India, which had in its recent survey said that the Indian economy is going to shrink by 10.9%, have now drastically reduced it to 7.4%, which is not a great figure either. 7.4% shrinkage is not good at all, but it is way better than 10.9%. That's what SBI has spoken about. However, the auto parts revenue will see a double-digit contraction. This has been confirmed by the ACMA, or the Automotive Component Manufacturers Association of India. We've been speaking a lot about the GST and how the reforms in the GST process are taking place. So all the states in India will receive time till 15th of February to effect the latest GST reforms. Also on the calculation of the gross state domestic product, or the GSDP, because a lot of different states in India follow different norms. That doesn't go well. That has been discussed now. Uh, Slightly worrying news. It's not a sanction, but it's not a very positive call. The USA has put India on a list of currency manipulators' monitoring list. The idea being that India is a country that sort of manipulates its own currency in order to gain international benefits. They have actually, the Treasury of the US, or the Finance Ministry, something like the Finance Ministry, they have labeled Switzerland and Vietnam as the top manipulators. But India has also been placed on that list. In fact, some of the other names are China, Japan, which is a close ally, South Korea, Italy, Singapore, Malaysia, and even Germany. So that is quite shocking, considering that Germany follows the euro currency. So it is likely that the entire euro zone is being spoken of in this manner. So all these countries are on the monitoring list, but Switzerland and Vietnam pretty much in the blacklist. So this is not something which is um, it is a little dangerous at this point. The SP group or the Shapurji Palonji group has stated that Cyrus Mistri's removal from Tata Sons is illegal and it is oppressive, and they will contest this decision of the Tata Sons' board. The sugar industry, meanwhile, is confident of meeting its targets for this year. The ISMA, or the Indian Sugar Mills Association, has confirmed that whatever is the year's target, in spite of the several problems this year, that should not harm that. In fact, cabinet of India has cleared 3,500 crore worth subsidy for sugar exports in order to encourage this industry, which is otherwise one of the stars in India. So this particular deal would make things even better. A couple of important business players like Roca, which is a very important bathroom wear producer, bathroom products maker, Roca Paryware, ROCA Paryware. It's a Spanish company. Also TVS SCS. It's a supply chain solutions, but it's also into automobile and especially bike manufacturing. So TVS and Roca Paryware, both of them are set to strengthen their supply chain. The two companies are going to come together and work on superior supply chain network. Bajaj Auto, meanwhile, has unveiled a new bike called the Platina 100 Kickstart. It's priced at around 50,000, little over 50,000 Delhi showroom prices. Um, Mumbai, sorry, showroom prices confirmed by Mr. Narayan Sundaraman, who's the marketing head at Bajaj Auto. GSK or GlaxoSmithKline, which is one of the leading pharma companies in the world, also into food and beverages. So they've introduced an Otrivin spray. Otrivin sprays, something. These are nasal drops basically. I've been using a version of them since childhood, not daily. Jab zarurat pade, only then. But now, of course, it's doing very well, the sales, because of a lot of emphasis on breathing, thanks to the pandemic. Any sort of पहले क्या होता था, थोड़ा ब्लीडिंग ब्रीदिंग प्रॉब्लम होता, so one would probably ignore it, steam लेके या some basic दवाई लेके one would say ठीक हो जाएगा. But now of course people get more alarmed, so they obviously use these nasal drops more frequently, more regularly. So as part of this, another new version has been developed. It's priced at 335 rupees for a 100 ml pack, and it's called the Otrivin Breathe Clean, a new version of the same. Videocon's lenders, meanwhile, have okayed the Twin Star Tech's bid, which is promoted by the billionaire Anil Agarwal and his family. And finally, the last topic from the business page. Before I go to my favorite, the sports page, the LPG price has come up by 50 rupees, the ATF up by 6.3%. There was a very beautiful article couple of days back in the Times of India, on the Times of India, regarding the city of Kolkata, and how Kolkata, just like Mumbai and Delhi, is equally important for India on a financial and business scale. There is this myth that the city has not been at the forefront of business. This probably happened in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s due to several political problems back then. But that has changed in the last decade or so. West Bengal has come up, and Kolkata has become a very important business hub. And a lot of companies were listed, which were the founders in their particular sector for India. So do read that article sometime if you can find on Monday's paper. You'll find on the e-paper as well on the thing. Anyway, moving ahead to the sports page. Today, the first test match began between India and Australia in Adelaide, the capital of South Australia. Over a period of time, I'll tell you how it progresses. So, pink ball basically, because it's day night, right? Meanwhile, the WTC, which is the World Test Championship, India does need to step up in order to ensure that our ranks improve. So India and Australia has been one of the greatest cricket rivalries in the last 20 odd years. I remember in 1996 Australia toured India to play in the Tri Series. Back that was the era of Tri Series. 90s mein lots of tri and quadrangular series, and that actually had two of the giants, Australia and South Africa. So I mean, I remember me and my sister speculating how badly thrashed we would be, but that didn't happen. We did get thrashed in the initial phases, but somehow we qualified for the final to play South Africa in Bengaluru. And guess who won the final? India won the final. There have been reports later on hindsight, that match may have been fixed. South African, a lot of players were in. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. India did also play a solitary test match against Australia, that home series. And Nayan Mongia, of all people, our wicketkeeper, scored a 150 while opening the batting. I clearly remember that. Next up, we defeated Australia in a home series in early 1998 to 1. There was a lot of speculation on Warren versus Tendulkar, and I remember Tendulkar and the other batsmen totally flattening the opposition. We lost 3-0, 99, horrible tour, 99 2000. Pakistan and India both lost 3-0. Six test matches, Australia. That was the greatest ever cricket team, and that Australian team was something. The next year, we hosted Australia, and that was the iconic tour, if you remember, where VVS Lakshman scored his 281. Harbhajan Singh scored his hat trick. We were totally outplayed in the first one and a half test matches, and then Lakshman, Dravid, and Harbhajan got us back. We ended up winning an iconic test series, and that was on the back of Australia winning 17 consecutive test matches. 2003 or 4, another very important series where for the first time we came very close to winning in Australia. We were till the first three test matches, it was 1-1. We had 1-1. They had 1-1. There was a draw. The final test match, we were in a great position to win. Anil Kumble was bowling better than ever, but Steve Waugh, that guy was a legend. He hung on for a draw. I remember that test match vividly. Mm, right. And that series is also famous for a certain Akash Chopra, hardly known, but that tour he was very effective. He would just take the shine off the new ball. He would do nothing, no strokes, nothing. He would just stand there, play every ball, and basically the new ball would become an old ball. By the time he would be dismissed, but the other batsman could do a job after that. After that, of course, we've had several tours. We actually lost 4-0 in 2011-12. Immediately after winning the World Cup, we had something of a hangover which lasted almost a year. We lost eight consecutive away test matches. 4-0 in England, 4-0 in Australia. But we in 2012-13 we won 4-0 against Australia at home. Incredible that was. Since then things have been a bit closer. So let's see how things work out this time. There have been some day-night test matches as well between the sides. In fact, the last time India toured, we actually won the test series. That was the first time India won a test series in Australia, if I'm not wrong. Anyway, um, it's moving ahead to the final page. Guys, please keep your comments rolling in. Welcome, Akansha. Welcome, Arpita. I did not see your chats. I should have seen, but welcome, both of you. Do let me know, Akanksha and Arpita, any comments if you wish to. And also, do let me know how was your CAT exam. I hope it went totally as per plan or even better. There's a very important piece of news from the sports page today, and there is news about the 2030 Asian Games. Asian Games, just like the Commonwealth and the Olympics, held every 4 years. So 2030, it will be held in Doha, capital of Qatar, which had hosted the version in 2006. So after six more editions, 24 years, Qatar will host it again in 2030. Saudi Arabia, which had also bid for 2030, has instead been granted the 2034 edition. 2034 edition likely to be hosted. It will be hosted in Saudi. Which city is not confirmed, but likely to be in the capital of Riyadh. It's the first time Saudi will host such a big event. Saudi was for long country which did not encourage a lot of foreign travelers, but now it's increasingly opening up. India, meanwhile, will bid for the 2027 Asia Cup for football. It's been confirmed by the president of All India Football Federation, Shri Praful Patel. Right. There's an Indian origin striker who plays for Fiji, Roy Krishna. He is playing for Atletico Mohan Bagan, as Atletico Mohan Bagan defeating did FC Goa. Lockie Ferguson, the really promising New Zealand bowler, he has been declared injured for up to 4 to 6 weeks, so will not play in this period. But finally, I'm going to end the day with a roundup of the football news as usual. This time, European football is over, but this is a pandemic affected year, so no day should be left wasted. So, there was a midweek free from European football. So, what to do? Let's make use of it. Let's have more of domestic matches. So, all the major leagues of Europe had their domestic matches. I don't think France had, but Germany, Italy, Spain, and England, all four of them had. France, by the way, has had a very poor collapse um, of its TV rights. That might affect the country real bad. But for now, let's talk about the Premier League results. English Premier League. Chelsea lost a second consecutive game, having lost to Everton over the weekend. Now lost to the Wolves, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2-1. The Portuguese pairing of Daniel Podenche and Pedro Neto scored the two goals. Chelsea actually took the lead just at the start of the second half, thanks to the French striker Olivier Giroud. But these two Portuguese goal scorers ended the day for Chelsea. So Chelsea, which was expected to challenge Liverpool's and City this year, they're still there in the challenge because this is a strange year. No team has really run out with a victory, so it's a good result for them so far. But this result not good at all. Liverpool, meanwhile, in a massive game of first versus second, Liverpool is now first. They were second, but the team at first Spurs lost 2-1. Son Heung-min scoring for Spurs, but two goals for Liverpool, one by Mo Salah, the Egyptian striker, and another late goal by the Brazilian striker Roberto Firmino sealed the victory for Liverpool. Man City, yet another draw, this time 1-1 with West Brom. In fact, both the goals were scored by City players. Ilke Gundogan, the German midfielder, scoring for City. The Portuguese defender Ruben Diaz conceding an own goal. West Brom, in spite of a fighting draw, they have actually sacked their manager, Slaven Bilic, the Croatian um former player manager at West Ham, also played for Everton, was part of the legendary Croatian 1998 World Cup team, which finished third, which defeated Germany 3-0 along the way. Um, so he has been sacked. Who has replaced him? That's a very interesting story. It's none other than Mr. Sam Allardyce, who is considered the ultimate relegation expert. He has managed so many mid and lower level teams, never been relegated. Bolton Wanderers, Blackburn Rovers, West Ham United, Everton. Everton is the biggest of the lot. Newcastle United, where I don't think he did that well. Um, I think Sunderland, and I can't remember, maybe one or two more clubs, but never been relegated. Also managed England for a brief period. I have always been a big fan. He has always been mocked because of his brand of football, which is very direct, which is physical, not good to watch. But he's not managed the best of teams. He's not managed the best of players. And by the way, all those who mock him as a sort of a dinosaur, Sam Allardyce was the first manager in England who actually took up the Moneyball concepts of Moneyball, the technical business analytics to look into sports. He actually did that in the early 2000s. He also had a brilliant medical team, which he curated himself. The number of injuries his clubs have had have always been the lowest. These are a couple of reasons I'm a big admirer of Sam Allardyce. Um, he had once joked that if his name was Alardici, if he would get a lot of the top jobs, and that was a joke against the English obsession to get exotic Spanish and Italian names. That was his thing. Anyway, moving to Spain. Real Madrid won 3-1 against Athletic Bilbao. Athletic Bilbao, another very interesting club. It's from the Basque region. It works like a sort of a quasi national team from the Basque region. They've never played anybody who's not a Basque. They may have played non-Spaniards, like there was a Venezuelan Amori Bieta. There was a French duo of Vicente Lizarazu and one more player, but they were all Basques. They were Basques from France or Venezuela. So they lost 3-1. Tony Kroos, the German playmaker, scoring one of the goals for Real Madrid. The French striker, he's on hot form. Karim Benzema, he scored the other two goals. I hope he's among the top. I think he was one of the top five players this year. I really feel so. Um, in Italy, Udinese drew 0-0 with Crotone. Benevento, meanwhile, drew 1-1 with Lazio. For Lazio, Ciro Immobile scoring one of the goals. He was the top scorer last season. The Italian forward scored again. Uh, in Germany, Germany had the maximum matches. No winter break this year in Germany. Eintracht Frankfurt drew 3-all with Borussia Mönchengladbach. Adrian Silva, the Portuguese striker, scoring the 2 goals for Frankfurt. Lars Stindl, German striker, scoring all 3 goals for Mönchengladbach, including a one late penalty. Hertha Berlin drew 0-0 with SV Mainz. Werder Bremen lost 2-1 at home to Borussia Dortmund, for whom the German winger forward Marco Reus scored the second goal. The first one was scored by the Portuguese wingback Rafael Guerreiro. And finally, VfB Stuttgart, who stunned Dortmund in the last game, could only draw 2-all with Union Berlin, club which was newly promoted last year. This year, they are in the top third of the league, doing extremely well. So that's pretty much it. I am done with the session. I'll keep the session open for a couple of minutes. You guys may ask me any questions if you want. Akansha and Arpita, do feel free to ask whatever you wish to. But till then, this is the code AD09. If you use this, you will receive a flat 10% off. Do like, share, and subscribe to my session. Right, so you know the drill. Like it, share it with your friends, comment as well, press the bell icon. Tomorrow, by the way, just a gentle reminder, I know you guys are already aware, but tomorrow I have a couple of special classes lined up on unacademy.com, so please do not miss them at any cost. Now, do keep your comments. I'll just be back in a moment. Till then, keep writing in your questions. Right. I don't think there are any questions right now, so I think we can wrap it up now. So, see you guys very soon. Kal, I'm just going to share the schedule on my Telegram group as well. And do subscribe me on unacademy.com. So, till then, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.